From Transformers Earthspark, this is the Deluxe class Shockwave. And if you've seen the main toys of Shockwave, you know I have a complicated relationship with this toy. I mean, it has the Action Master Orange, and I love the Action Master Orange, but that's the Cyberverse Shockwave. It's a completely different design. It looks nothing like the cool redo of the Earthspark Shockwave. He doesn't have the hook hand. And this is actually kind of insidious. They hid the hook hand behind the Build-A-Figure so no one would even know that this isn't the right Shockwave. Here's the Earthspark thing on the side. Here on the back, there's just a picture of the toy. Cyberverse Shockwave, baby. And then there's Dr. Mandroid. Alright, let's open him up. Getting this Shockwave out of the box, I mean, he's nice. He is. He's a really nice Shockwave that you can still get on store shelves, and he's pretty affordable. But there were some weird choices made here. Not just in terms of taking a Cyberverse toy and trying to make it Earthspark, but also the deco has some weird choices made. Let's talk some of the good. Head sculpt, really nice. I like how they captured the head. I like the Action Master Orange. I do. I like orange on Shockwave. And it was nice that they changed the pink, turned that into a black, so you still have color variants throughout the entire figure, but it's not the same as Cyberverse. It's cool. It gives the entire figure a much darker tone. Then you get to things like the gun hand. No paint on the top side, silver paint on the underside. So, I mean, it's great if you want to pose them like this, but then if you want to pose them like that, like most people would, you don't get to see the paint. Maybe you should have put the silver up here. Crazy, I know. Crazy that I came up to that idea. That said, the gun hose is nice. I actually don't remember if the Deluxe Cyberverse Shockwave came with that or not. It's a good addition if they didn't. And if it did come, I like that it's the blue color of the rest of the body and not pink. That's a nice change. I also like that we still have the other gun from the Deluxe Shockwave. I don't really think of Shockwave with this gun, but it's a nice addition. You know, it works. Of course, you still have a lot of good articulation on the go. You have a swivel up here at the head, a universal here on the shoulder, another universal here in the upper arm, and down here you have a wrist swivel, and you can kind of get a hinge up and down if you want to mistransform. You have a waist swivel, armor gets out of the way, universal here for the hip, a good knee joint down here, very solid, and then down here you can go back and forth with the foot. Feet are so big that they're never really going to be that much of an issue. And if you want, you can fold these up and give Shockwave a really cool silhouette. Now he looks a little bit more like Tarantulas. I keep those folded down just because, you know, Shockwave doesn't really have shoulder spikes like that, but at least it's an option. Oh, I almost forgot. You can articulate the ears. There, he can go into sport mode if you want. If you want, you can remove the gun hand. Like so. Oh, he is a little bit stiff in there. Wow. There we go. And then you just have normal two-hand Shockwave. Only question is, why would you do that? Don't get me wrong, it's nice. I like that you had the option. But every time I see two-hand Shockwave, my only question is always going to be, why would you ever want two-hand Shockwave? The whole point is that he has the gun hand. It's what makes him cool. Look, I know I've been kind of sour on this figure, and it's just because I think Earthspark deserved so much more than it got from Hasbro. The LA design team did their best to make some incredible figures, and they did. They made some incredible toys. It's not their fault that they work for a big corporation full of old, out-of-touch geezers that weren't able to say, hey, maybe kids would buy the toys if we didn't give them the same toy every single year. Insane, I know. But I still like this guy. It's a good mold. It's a good Shockwave. This is a good deco for this toy. There's odd choices. Again, silver nozzle. Kind of wish that was all the way around. But it's a good way to get Cyberverse Shockwave with what I honestly think are better colors for cheap. It's a good toy. So I'm not going to hold its weird release against it. It's hard to look at something like this and knock it because you can see the quality. The transformation was janky. I don't know what it is, but that chest plate just barely has enough clearance. You can see I put stress in it, just trying to get it in the front where it needs to go. I mean, you can at least articulate the Spire tank. You know, you still have all the same range, so ball joint here, and a universal here, and a good universal here. And then you can also pivot the turret around, which is nice, but it's like, think about this, right? There were a lot of good Cyberverse Shockwaves. You got the Ultra, you had the Spark Armor, you had the Warrior. All three of them had better spider tanks than this. It amazes me that this was the most articulated and accurate robot mode Shockwave, and yet it feels like the most nothing transformation out of all the Cyberverse Shockwaves. And I'm going to stop harping on it. I'm going to say just one more time. Earthspark had an awesome Shockwave that had a tank mode that looked like something out of, like, Mars Attacks. It was sick. It looked like that, what's it called? Like the Tri-Droid from Clone Wars. And then you got this, which is still good. You know, still like it. It's cool. It's been done, like, 6 times. But hey, he has weapon storage on his backpack. That makes it worth it. In all seriousness, I do like that you can actually store the gun back here. It's a nice little detail. With the Parliament of Shockwave assembled, I can pretty confidently say this guy does not make it onto the Council of Shocks. He is not too bad. Like, he wouldn't show up with Shock Blart Mall Cop. Shock Blart and Super 7 Blart are the only two that are still on that echelon. But he's not in the top tiers. He's not even a kid of the top tier. You know, Custom Shockwave gets to be like his own. He's an ambassador. He's kind of above all this. So he's probably on level with, say, like the Spark Armor Shockwave or the Blocky Shockwave. When I was saying Blocky Shockwave's definitely in the Council of Shocks. That's the 5th member right there. He's part of the, like, ruling class back here. There's only one thing left to figure out, and maybe this one thing will decide if this Shockwave gets to make it or break it. Can he hold Combiner Wars Shockwave? Alright, we're going for it. We got the gun, and... oh! Yes, he can! Alright, we have found a second person, alongside, weirdly enough, another Cyberverse Shockwave that can hold Combiner Wars Shockwave. Overall, Earthspark Shockwave is a fun toy. He's still quality. He's in an awkward position, because there is the disappointment that he's not the other guy, but when you get past that and you just look at him as him, he's awesome. And if you don't have the Cyberverse Deluxe Shockwave, like I don't, then he's amazing. Because I get to experience this mold with the Action Master Orange. So overall, I would recommend him if you don't have the Cyberverse Shockwave. If you do have the Cyberverse Deluxe, there's not really a reason. There's not enough differences between the two, unless you just really, really, really love that orange that much. But I am happy to have a version of this mold, and he is going to sit very comfortably with the rest of the Parliament of Shockwave.